Shalom, shalom, everybody. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Friday night Q&A class, and it's 14th of August, 2020, and we're gonna do our moment of silence before we get started, in reference to the Lord of Hosts and his work in these last days, orchestrating our deliverance from the land of our oppressors to and our return. So we're gonna get that moment of silence and then do our prayer, do the current events, and go into to Q&A. Oh Lord, we come before Thee at this time. We have set this time apart at the beginning of the Sabbath day that You have given unto us for rest. We are thankful for the knowledge and the understanding that You have given us up until this point. We seek Thy face on this Shabbat, that You shower us with peace and enlightenment and a sense of togetherness. Oh Lord, we see Thine hand in the affairs of the world. We know and understand that what You have spoken in the past, we will surely come to pass. Turn not Thy face from us, but hearken unto this plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. All praises unto You. Okay, that being said, anybody got any current events or comments about something they want to talk about?
Yeah, I had saw something about the U.S. economic proposal, 12 trillion for reparations to alleviate the wealth gap between blacks and whites.
When was this?
Today.
Okay.
It was
it's
in,
a video?
Google News.
Oh, it wasn't on it wasn't.
No, I have like these alerts and stuff that come on my phone.
Oh yeah, that's crazy, because Robert Johnson said 14.
Right.
He said 14 trillion. So I mean, you know, where they getting these numbers from?
Right.
Because 14 is a low number compared to the people, you know, that's going to be affected, and now they saying 12 trillion. Instead of going down. And they I remember when they had when the UN made that proclamation telling them that they need to do something with what they had done to the slaves, and they said they need to do it immediately. When you understand how the UN works, the UN is going to give you all the resources that you need to perform what they tell you to do. So $20 trillion was put into the bank during the Obama administration. So they started going backwards. I mean, it's already $20 trillion already been allotted. And then imagine the interest that has been drawn. Right. That's over. That was like 2014, somewhere in there, 2015. Started, yeah, kind of. It started right along with the decade of African descent when all that came about. So I mean, they started going backwards. You already at 20 trillion already off the top. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right. But I was one of the things I was looking at. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the moral of also what we're looking at is more and more, because this is a institute also that's talking about it, but more and more people are coming out and making it something that not going away.
Oh right, yeah, it ain't going away for this the guy, the ADOS, and Tone talks, and they're not gonna let it go away, so but yeah, they're gonna have to do something. But I was getting ready to say it's kind of ironic that the big push when they first had all those Democratic people that was running for the candidates that was running for president, all of them pretty much was proclaiming that they would be president, they was going to do reparations And then when you start looking at all the mandates they got, the global mandates they got for Africa, and it's all centered around like the end of the decade of African descent. People of African descent is 24, and it's kind of it's ironic how this election is from 2020 to 2024.
Right.
Yeah, so
whoever this person is the man for the job.
Yeah, the man for the job. You can see it, and then from there you got agenda 2030. So that's it. And like I was saying before, we're not gonna be over here too much longer.
Right.
The whole dynamic is going to change, and then like I said, the conversation about us as Hebrew Israelites, who we are, and all that's going to change the minute that those reparations come out and we leave.
Right, and I mean, if they give it to us over here, I'll be surprised.
Right. Yeah.
But that's all I wanted to say.
Right. Yeah, but like I said, I was talking to somebody today this morning about I had to repent about the fact that how we dealing with the information on harps and how these people have the technology to deal with manipulate the weather and all that, and then harps has another facet of it. A characteristic from harps is that they're able to send out those frequencies and coerce people in certain regions of the country. They can send they can send a frequency and cause people to do certain things. And so I was sitting there thinking that when the way the coronavirus came out, and then and when the riots had started and how the white America started all of a sudden appeasing the blacks and going out their way to speak to you, and how they always, and then I went back and I looked at which like I say, we don't because of what they've done and how they hook with the scriptures, some things you just don't see in the scriptures. But it's the exact same thing they did with the Egyptians. The Egyptians were beating the hell out of the Israelites and they hated the Israelites. But the night before they left, the Egyptians came out and started taking off their jewelry and bringing their wealth out of their house, giving it to the Israelites.
Right.
So it's no different than that. Because it's like, can you imagine how those Israelites was looking at them like, what the hell wrong with them? Because they started coming out giving them stuff. That's what we doing now. They speaking, going out their way, trying to hold a conversation with you. You look like, what's wrong with them? And so
I'm overhearing conversations at work that I'm just like surprised about, because it's people that you don't even, what I'm saying, they ain't know that I was in the room because I was fixing something. And I'm listening to the conversation. I'm like, wow, like really? That's what they talking about?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's crazy, man. It's just, like I said, it's him. And even though, that coronavirus is, we know it's concocted, it's man-made, but he behind it. You know what I'm saying? He behind it because it didn't shut down the whole world. And then understanding how these Gentiles live, they whole lifestyle wicked as hell. He didn't shut their lifestyle down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't that's way bigger than Esau, man. Because they want to make it act as if it's not really working. I mean, like it ain't nothing they can keep on moving on doing what they're doing, but every time they try to continue on with their lifestyle, the virus get worse.
Right.
And then another thing to look at with that is the fact that when you go back to realizing that how our forefathers were, they just fall into anything the Gentiles doing. They end up doing what they doing. So it was a bunch of Israelites was gonna stay in Egypt after he delivered them. They'd have stayed there, but he had to cause so much havoc in there that it wasn't no desire for them to stay there. And so when you look at that, it's like he turned the water to blood, right? The Nile River. They was worshiping the Nile River. he turned that to blood, right? Well, what's the next thing that's the next event if you turn water into blood? Well, frogs all in the water. They can't stay in the water while the blood in there. So all the frogs came out on the land.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking at this, if you understand it's him doing this, what's the next natural or scientific thing that's going to happen if you start shutting down all the businesses all over the world, and especially in America? Well, next thing going to happen is the bank's going to collapse, and then the government going to collapse, and then next thing you know, you're going to be people going to be homeless and starving to death. It's going to be a depression.
Right.
So you know what we're looking at right now is only just tip of the iceberg because of its underlying effects that's festering right now. They just haven't came to the forefront.
Exactly.
Right. And so I got to looking at that, and I got to thinking about not having no water. So yeah, I went and got me a whole bunch of water. I already had some, but I went and got about 15 cases. Just for GP. I'd rather have them than don't have them.
Right. We was talking about that today. I went and got a whole bunch of tissue, and I gotta get some more water, but I got a bunch of stuff already from the first time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I got a bunch of canned food and got a bunch of water, and so yeah. Even though, like I said, me myself, I don't think that we came this far to die over here from starvation, but still,
Right.
you better be safe than sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
That makes
Anybody
sense.
else got any current event? Okay.
Shalom, shalom.
How y'all doing?
Okay.
Okay.
Speaking of reparations, and you guys were saying how every European feel like they gotta, go out their way to be nice to us. Well, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the big Catholic University in Washington, D.C., Georgetown.
Right.
Okay, so what's going on there is the history of Georgetown is that they were about to lose their college. They did not have the funds to pay for the renting of their buildings or the building of their buildings. So they sold 272 slaves in order to keep the Georgetown University going back in the day. And with the student government, the big thing that's in the news is the student government met and they have come up with an account or a fund where they're going to have each student that attends Georgetown University to pay $27.20 per semester to put into a fund for students who are descendants of slaves. If they run into a snag with the funding for their college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that sounds interesting because I was saying, like I said before, those so-called Ivy League schools, they're the ones that was directly benefited from the transatlantic slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I was saying before, within their libraries and within their archives, they have the information that we looking for. They got it. That's what I was talking about that the Cambridge Apocrypha. They have the information, and and they're aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
They're aware of the real story. It's just that after the Israelites started waking up, they started coming out with different versions of it to to downplay the original versions that they had, because
Right.
they had information that was revealing in there that they didn't even know was in there, because they can't, like they said, the Most High is only dealing with the Israelite. Yeah. So anybody else got any comments? Anybody else got any comments on current events? Okay. We're gonna go to Q&A, and then after we do the Q&A, we'll have a little discussion and then about what I said yesterday, and then we'll close out. So anybody got a question, first question about anything that they want to talk about, or about yesterday or whatever? Okay.
Shalom, shalom. Okay, then you had mentioned yesterday that the book of Psalms has 151 instead of 150.
Right.
What is significant about that 151st Psalm?
Well, I can read it. I mean, supposedly what they tell us is everything in the King James is they tell you there's a 66 books is all we need. So how is it that you got 150 Psalms in the King James and one missing?
Yeah.
So they got, I just noticed it. We got, when you look in the contents of the Apocrypha, where they show you all the stuff that's in there, it's got one of the books is called Psalms 151. It's one psalm. Mm-hmm. And when you understand it's 150, the last one is in the King James is 150.
Right.
This one is 151. And it's read like this. And it's ironic that you got to get all the way to 151 Psalms to start talking about what David did to Goliath. It says, page 193. Says, this song is ascribed to David as his own composition, though it is outside the number after he had fought in a single combat with Goliath. I was small among my brothers and the youngest in my father's house. I tended my father's sheep. My hands made a harp. My fingers fashioned a lyre. And who will tell my Lord? The Lord himself. It is he who hears. It was he who sent his messenger and took me from my father's sheep and anointed me with his anointing oil. My brothers were handsome and tall, but the Lord was not pleased with them. I went out to meet the Philistine, and he cursed me with his idols. But I drew his own sword, I beheaded him, and took away disgrace from the people of Israel. So it seemed like to me that would have been Psalm number 1. But it's not even in the Bible at all.
Right. Okay.
So it tripped me out, when I saw that, because I had never noticed it. I was dealing with Esther, and then I saw that, and I was like, okay. So okay. I mentioned it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah. What's your understanding of Jubilees 1 and 15?
Jubilees 1 and 15.
Yeah, can you break that down?
Jubilees 1 and 15. Man, what's the word? Yeah. Can you read it? I don't have my Jubilees over here with me. It's up in the other room.
Yeah, it says, and after this they will turn to me from amongst the Gentiles with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength. And I shall gather them from amongst the Gentiles, and they will seek me, so that I shall be found of them when they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul.
Yeah, well, he's saying that it's a lot more to that. When you look at that, like I was saying before, when you look at Malachi chapter 4 and verse 1 and talk about the day of the Lord, that's the same thing right there. Even when Enoch talks about 70th generation, same event in Ezekiel chapter 37, all of them are the same events that's going to culminate at the same time. And so he's talking about the remnant that he's going to wake up. That it's not going to be a whole bunch of people that he's going to deal with. It's a remnant of people that, like I said, go back to the DNA. He's going to be a remnant of people that wake up that has zeal for him. I mean, you know, a zeal that, you know, a zeal to know him, and whatever it is that he said or whatever he set in place, they're gonna embrace it. You know, and like I said, it's not for everybody. It's for a remnant. And like it's nothing new under the sun, because the same thing happened. It was people that loved the Lord in Egypt. A lot of them had turned away from him and was dealing with idols and all that. But when he came back, it was a group that loved him, that embraced Moses when he brought Moses back. And then when they got in the wilderness, the ones that was half stepping, we know what he done. He got rid of them. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. What I'm focusing on is the fact that you know, for people to understand that you know, the Lord of hosts is like, he keep on telling you what's up with him. You know, he ain't going for if it ain't righteous and it ain't right and it ain't what he prescribed, then you got issues. It ain't like with the things we dealing with and the way things go when we in the church. You know, you can let this thing that is being you know, pushed under the rug. You can slide with it, but that ain't how you operate. And like I say, we got examples all through the scriptures. You know, he ain't going for the okie doke, and that's all I'm saying. You know. So and you know, it's no way really that you can just say be fully prepared to deal with him, but you can start getting your mind right in you know, in some sense to even to try to deal with him, because you know, you're gonna have to be 100 when we get back in the land and get around him. He ain't going for the okie doke.
Right.
Yeah, and that's all I'm screaming. And looking at the way things were, because we so far from our culture and our way of life over here till it's pathetic. You know? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Appreciate
you know, yeah, that's my take on that. You know. Yeah. Anybody else have anything? A question? What happened to your question, Gladys?
Okay. My question is there anything in the Old Testament about love your neighbor? Because, you know, I ran across something on my Facebook and they were saying, I mean, not love your neighbor, but love your enemies.
Yeah, that's
I love your enemies. When I ran across it, I thought it was just a pure Christian thing.
yeah, that's a Christian saying, because like I said, when what I was just alluding to when I was talking to Kevin is we see that he tells you that you know he gonna cast us out in Deuteronomy 28, part of the curse. He's gonna cast us out amongst our enemies, and our enemies is gonna do us bad. So that's a direct contrast to love your enemies as yourself. And then another one is Psalms 83. I'm gonna read part of it right quick. Psalms 83 says, keep this David talking. So I mean, this should answer the question. It says, keep not thy silence, O God, hold not thy peace, be not still, O God, for lo, thy enemies make it tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. So if somebody do that to you, or to your household, or to your nation, you gonna love them?
No, but I mean, that's still being taught to us to no matter what they do to us, turn the other cheek syndrome.
Right.
So, and I ran across that today and I was like, you've never taught anything about loving your enemies. It's always, God took care of our enemies, or he raised up an army to take care of them. But I've never seen love your enemies in, the Old Testament.
No, it ain't there because he ain't got a problem with them. Even with Cain, we discovered the true story behind how Cain came about. So when Cain came up to make his offering, he refused Cain's offering. He didn't want Cain up around. He didn't want Cain up around the altar, nowhere around the altar. And so you fast forward that and come to after Israel became a nation through the 12 tribes, the Gentile can't even go in the temple. So it don't add up. None of that add up. And when he come back, he's gonna get rid of all of Israel's enemies. So how is he either he got a problem with them or he done drafted them in? It's one or the other. And from the dialogue and from the plot that we see in the Old Testament, he got a serious problem with our enemies. And he tells us that when he come back, he gonna recompense their wickedness on their own head. So we already see what the narrative is. The narrative is that he have a problem with his enemies, and he gonna judge our enemies and his enemies. That's the truth. That's the truth of the matter.
Okay, and I had a more of a statement, I guess, this time. I was seeing and this is something I also saw ran across on my Facebook where, this pastor was saying that, people who weren't going to church were the ones who were contracting the corona, and the people who were going to church were the people who were safer. And I thought that didn't make much sense at all.
No, that's a lie from the pits of hell, because we just see in the Church of God alone, I think it was something like 45 of their elders died. So he giving you a reversal of the truth.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because you don't hear nothing about no Israelites dying. But it's wreaking havoc in the church, and even to the point where they can't even assemble. That's what I was talking about earlier. It's I had to check myself on it, giving credit to these Edomites and the powers that be about this virus. But when you look at what he's doing, it's the Lord of hosts. He behind it, because they can't go to church. They try to go into church, and then you shut them down. They try to restart the government, and the virus got worse.
Right.
So, we know their whole lifestyle, everything they do, their way of life is wicked as hell. But he done brought it to an end.
Right.
They thinking that it's gonna keep going, but he weighing it down. He bringing it down. He winding all that wickedness down.
Yes, he is. And he also mentioned the fact that what he was specifically talking about here in Memphis, Tennessee, but he was saying that all of the white schools were reopening, and that the lower class, our schools were, still shut down. And he said that, he feels is because it's, to make our children farther behind, but we're always behind from out the gate.
Right.
We're in the rear out the gate, and their educational system was not set up for us. So, it was never a win for us. So, but that was his concern, was that they were opening their schools. And I guess because he felt it was okay to get out there with the coronavirus, that, they were just lying to keep us behind. So, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, well, another way you can look at that too. Like I said, when you look at all the things that all the revelations that the Most High allowed us to receive over the last couple of years or so, you got to look at the fact that why did we know these things before? Well, they getting us at a young age, at 6 years old. You go to their school system, and from six to 18 years old. So all your childhood, you being brainwashed to think a certain way. Then at 18 they let you loose because they done dumb you down by the time you get 18. So like I said before, I had to repent on who's behind all this, because of look what he's doing. We know the church is one of the reasons why his people is dumbed down. He shut that down. Well, the school system is another reason why he got us shit. We ignorant to the fact of who he is, and we can't think straight because they didn't impose they way of thinking and their educational system on us. So now that it's time for us to go, he's shutting all that down. That's another way to look at that. I want to read something right quick too, if I can find it. Yeah, I don't know where it said, but he Most High was telling Israel. I know it's somewhere in Deuteronomy 32, but he was telling Israel that we quote, and we know that everybody on this line know about don't let your sons marry their daughters and don't let your daughters marry their sons. But he also said don't engage in their knowledge. Stay away from their knowledge. You got a problem with that too. So that's what I'm saying about from 6 years old until you get 18 years old, you're being indoctrinated. You're being force fed they understanding. You're being force fed they wisdom. And that's the reason why we was dumbed down for all those years. And now that it's time for us to, at the time appointed for us to be, for him to come and help us, like he said in Isaiah 44, 1-5, is here. And what we're looking at in front of us, the coronavirus and all that comes with it, that's him. He's shutting down all the things that cause us not to be able to communicate with him, not being able to see him in the scriptures and see him in the world events and all that's coming to an end. That's what we witnessing. Man, we ain't never going back to where we was at. Anybody else got a question? You was through?
Yes, I am. That was great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else got a question?
Not necessarily a question, just a statement. So
Okay.
basically, we need to be consciously aware and check ourselves on our behaviors and in and out of season. And I mean, like, my mind is reflecting on when I used to go to the church and the the, the elderly or the elders, I should say, the female elders. It was like for the younger set, they were trying to instill different mindsets of behaviors, how to dress, and how to present and represent yourself before the church period. And
Right.
I'm not talking about the fake aspect of the Jesus, because they didn't know no better. But if they didn't
Right.
know, they would have done better. And there was probably some, because I've been to some churches where they say God is God and God alone. Okay,
Right.
and so that was right there that hey, they know what's up as far as Jesus is concerned. But anyway, so I just want to elaborate on that and being consciously aware what we do and who we do it to,
Right.
basically. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's well received. Um. Okay. Anybody else got any comment or question?
There's no comments in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to shine a light on some of those. I did that episode 1 and I mean I did part 1 and 2 of women of Israel, and like I said, the reason I did it was, I felt like it was a need to shine a light on that. For then it's some to give some kind of foundation or format of what it is that how our the matriarchs and the Israelite women from back in during the Tanakh, and how they presented themselves and how they acted and how and what the scriptures say about it. That's the reason I was dealing with it. So because there's certain things that's coming up. So what I'm saying is that anybody having it should be some questions pertaining to that because it was coming up. So I did it for to use it for a reference point. And like I was saying before, it's coming a time that we're gonna find ourselves just like they did at Mount Sinai, and that when they was in Egypt, all of a sudden they looked up. They saw Moses. First they was catching hell from all angles, and then then all of a sudden Moses showed up, and then after Moses showed up, the Lord of hosts came right behind him. So the whole game changed. That's what we in the same predicament now. And so they had to get right once the Most High showed up, and they had to get right. And so that's where we at. That's where we and everything's leading up to now. It's a certain conduct and a certain way you got to act when you're dealing with the Most High. So that's the reason why I was trying to shine a light on that as far as how everything goes. And this boat is on, like I was saying, it goes to say for the male as well as the female. It's a certain way you gotta act, certain way you gotta think, certain way you gotta conduct yourself around the Most High, because he's like I said, he's righteous, and so he's gonna it's gonna be a cleansing. Everybody ain't gonna make it to the cleansing. It's gonna be you're gonna be cleaning the house. And that's the reason why I was trying to shine a light on it, to get some kind of semblance of some kind of reference point to because they did a number. Number been done on us over the last, especially the last 400 years. But from 2020, I mean from the time that we was kicked out of the land and brought over here, the number been done on us, and it's one wave of attack after one wave of attack over and over again, and so that's why we in the predicament we in. Yeah, so that was my reason for it.
We got 2 questions in the chat now.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's me myself. I mean, I look at I recognize the fact that the day that I was born when it comes around, but you know, it's not nothing really exciting to me. I don't really celebrate it, and you know, I treat it like I do Christmas and the rest of those holidays. But you know, I don't see nothing wrong with it. If that's what if that's what a person want to do. But you know, I don't feel the need to exalt that. I mean, you know, like I said, I acknowledge it, and you know, people that my surrounding people around me, my circle of influence, if they come by and say, you know, happy birthday or whatever, you know, that's cool, but it's not something that I lift up or celebrate. But that's me. You know what I'm saying? I don't see no harm with nobody else doing it. It's all good. Well, it's that is true because of I don't know how much you know about the Book of Enoch, but you know it do you some good to get a Book of Enoch. But we had in Genesis chapter 6. I'm gonna read that right quick. There's some angels that came down from heaven. They was watchers, and they came down and when they came down, they crossed the line and started sleeping with women. That's how we got giants on the earth. So those angels were, being that they eternal beings, they were the most high ordered the Lord of hosts to bind them, and they bound them in different parts of the earth, and you know, and they there until the end, and then at the end, the people that the Most High, the remnant and the righteous ones that made it through, they're gonna judge those angels. That's what that's talking about. So I'm gonna read you what happened. It's in Genesis chapter 6. You know, like I said, a lot of people don't expound on it, and a lot of people don't even really understand it because you know, they've been taught you know, the wrong story when it pertains to this. So I'm in Genesis chapter 6. It says, "It came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God," that's angels, "saw that the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. And then the answer to what I was telling you about the giants, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God, these angels, came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So one of those men of renown was Goliath, who David killed. And so how he came about was his mother slept with a fallen angel. That's how he was conceived. And so those angels has been they eternal beings. So you know he didn't kill them. He just had them bound and placed in really that's what the origins of hell. And Tartarus is where he created that to put those fallen angels there until the judgment. And so when the judgment comes, the righteous is going to judge them. That's what that's alluding to. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. So the question is, he wants some examples of how women are supposed to conduct themselves in the land. I'm gonna go to. this is a story about Abigail. So it says, you start out in chapter 25, verse 2 says, there was a man in my own whose possessions were in Carmel, and the man was very great. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal. The name of his wife was Abigail. So Abigail is an Israelite woman, but this guy is, like I was just saying, we were not supposed to marry outside our nation. So she'd have married this guy, and he's not Israelite, but she married him, and she's a virtuous woman. And it says, the name of the man was Nabal. The name of his wife was Abigail. She was a woman of good understanding. She's a virtuous woman, and of a beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 men, and David said unto the young men, get you up to Carmel and go to Nabal and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, peace be unto thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast. And now I have heard that thou hast shearers. Now thy shepherds, which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them all the while they were in Carmel. So what's going on is, when you understand who David is a shepherd himself. That's why the Most High found him as a shepherd. So he knows all the ins and outs of how to tend the flocks and herds. So while he was running from Saul, he started tending to this man sheep, flocks, and herds, and he got everything in order for him. So he's sending these men to ask him for provisions for what he's done, for what they've done for him. And so they get there, and in chapter verse 10, the Baal answered David's servants and said, who is David, and who is the son of Jesse? There'll be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all of those sayings. David said unto his men, gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword, and David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 of bow by the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail. So this Abigail's, she's an Israelite woman, and she's raised by an Israelite man. So she know how things go. David is Israelite. So he says, the Baal wife saying, behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything, as long as we were conversant with them when we were in this field. They were a wall unto us both by night and day, and all the while we were with them keeping the sheep. Now therefore know and consider that thou will do for evil is determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such the son of Belial that a man cannot speak to him. So he conceded, and then he's wicked as hell. He wasn't Israelite. So David on his way to kill him. He's gonna kill his whole household. And I'm in verse 18. Then Abigail made haste and took 200. Now this she don't know David from Adam to Ant, and David ain't none of her husband or nothing. So it says, then Abigail made haste, took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine, 5 sheep ready to dress, 5 measures of parched corn, and 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. And she said unto her servants, go on before me, before I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the asses, that she came down by the covert of the hill. And behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. And David said, surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow have in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertaineth unto him. And he hath quitted me evil for good. So, and more also do God unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertaineth to him by the morning light, anything that pisses against the wall. And when Abigail saw David, she hastened and she lit off her ass, fell before David on her face, bowed herself to the ground, and she fell at his feet and said, Upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thine house, the handmaiden, I pray thee, speak in thine audience, and hear the words of thine handmaiden. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Belial, for as his name is, so is he. The Baal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thy handmaiden, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send. So she, knowing and raised by Israelites, knowing the proper way to respond to another Israelite man, she came and cleaned it up, because David was on his way to destroy Nabal, his household, and her. But being that she was a virtuous woman, she negated all that. So that was 1 Samuel. I don't know if you know anything about Abigail, but that was 1 Samuel. You can start at chapter 25, and just read chapter 25 if you want to go back later and reference it. Okay. Okay, so he says that these prophets, what he sent the lying spirits to, that was wicked as hell. So that's why he sent the lying spirits to them. And so it tells you in the scriptures that how you can discern between the truth of somebody that he sent and somebody that's coming on their own accord, is that what they say come to pass. That's how you can discern the things they tell you. When you go search them out, and it's line upon line, precept upon precept, and you see that the revelations that the Most High, the direction the Most High leading you in is the same direction that He's showing you, then you know you're dealing with somebody that the Most High sent. The spirit, the Most High's His doings and operations is in sync with what He's doing and what He's saying. That's how you can discern. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Nobody else have anything? No more questions? Yeah. So like I was saying before, what you got?
No, that's it for now.
Okay. Yeah. I was just gonna say that like I said, I was saying on several occasions, what you have to do is, I mean, we've been yeah, you're welcome. So we had so many people that we came the hard route, in the streets, in the church house. Even some people had bad experiences dealing with Hebrew Israelites. But like I said before, it's what you have to do is you got to get your head up and look at the person, and check their countenance out. If you should be at a certain point. You've been dealing with people, especially people of color. You've been around them. You can discern. You know what I'm saying? Whether somebody mean you good or mean you hurt. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, that's a given. And the thing about me is, what motive I have to deceive anybody. You know what I'm saying? Why would I want to, you know what I'm saying? Why would I want to deceive anybody? And then, like I said before, I was turned. I was turned into this information. The Most High came and scooped me up, you know, and that's what happened with me. It's not something I decided to do, you know, to try to be slick or try to be over people or on some YouTube channel, because this is the farthest thing from my mind. But once it happened and everything went down, then I realized events from my childhood and all that would lead me right to this direction. And you know, and like I said, when I started dealing with it, I wouldn't, you know, I was looking for the truth, you know, and I got an overwhelming zeal that's abnormal zeal, and I understand that, so I have to maintain it and contain it, because like I said, it's certain people you come into contact with that maybe done studied, they're going to ask different questions than other people that's just coming into it. So I get excited because I'm saying, wow, certain people, a lot of people don't ask me these type of questions. So when the question is presented, so I'm going all the way in. And that's the reason why you thinking it ain't working, but I'm overlapping stuff, you know, continuously overlapping and tying everything together. You thinking it ain't working, then you look up a year later or 18 months later, you sitting high up on the hall because of the information, the dots been connected. And so, like I said, I can't build a house and build a roof first without the foundation. The foundation has to be built first. Then you come up with the walls, and then you build a roof. So it's gonna take you a minute. The foundation got to be laid one story at a time. You connecting all the dots. You undoing all the lies and connecting all the dots. And so once the foundation is laid, then you get a flood, a rush, because everything starts coming together. But the foundation has to be laid first. And some things have to be some things have to be connected in each and every person's mind. And that's why, let me read this, because this is why the Most High is saying this. I'm in Isaiah 44. You know, like I said, I'm aware that I get excited, and I'm aware that my voice changed, but it's not that I'm angry or offended or nothing like that, because you know you're gonna have to do some terrible stuff to me to offend me. It's hard to offend me. You know, it's just how I always been. My countenance been like that forever. So, you know, I don't take offense to things too easy. So I'm in Isaiah right quick. Isaiah 44. Then this is one of the reasons why we, this little group of people, this little family is together right now, because of what right here. It says, I'm in Isaiah 44, 1-5, in case you want to write that down. It says, our Lord, the Lord of hosts, promised us this. He says, yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus says the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. That's what's going on in us right now. That's the reason why we communing. He's helping us. He says, help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jezreel, whom I have chosen. So that means chosen, selected. And you can't, if you got a group of people, all of them can't be selected. All of them can't be chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon dry ground, and I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessings upon thine offspring. So that's what we witnessing. He's pouring his spirit out on the ones that's thirsty. So what he's talking about when he say thirsty? The ones that got zeal, the ones that have a heart to want to understand, the ones that have a heart to conform. And so it says, 4, and they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by a watercourse. So when you understand how willows come up along a river or side of a river, one of them come up at a time. So foundation is laid for this one, foundation laid for that one, foundation laid for this one, foundation. It's not. You can't throw a net out there and and put one foundation under all of them. Each one, a foundation got to be built. And so if this person over here might get it 3 months from now, then the other one might get it six months from now. But you started working, you started building the foundation one question at a time, one story at a time, getting the full understanding of that story, moving to the next story. And then, like I said, you're going to know, take my word for it, you're going to know when the foundation is built because you're going to have a rush of information. When that information, because first you got to undo all these Gentile and Hellenistic ideologies that's been given to us. You know, you got to undo all that. And once you undo that, and you studying and getting the foundation laid, then, like I say, the door open up and the information come rushing in. And so you can't hear it. The information is not going to rush in if you ain't heard it. If it ain't been presented to you, it's got to be presented to you. Like I said, these angels you can't see them. They spirits, they spirit beings. Unless they commanded to show themselves, they can come around you. You don't see them. Well, I'm talking right now. You don't see the words. The words in the same dimension they in. So the words doing the same thing they doing. So when you on the line, or you talking to somebody that's in sync in spirit and truth with the Most High, you know these words they working. You think they ain't working, but they working. A foundation being laid. So, with that being said, what wickedness or what deceit did you see on me? It ain't no wickedness or deceit on me. I'm just trying to I'm helping build a foundation. So the house and the understanding can be manifested and laid. That's it. And then, you know, you want to leave and go on a cruise or whatever, cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm just doing my part. I understand that. That's been shown to me. And that's all I'm doing. Nothing else. I ain't trying to get no money out of it. I ain't trying to get no likes, you know, but none of that. Because I understand the time that we in, the time that ran out. You know, what's needed getting the lights and then get burnt the hell up or get your head chopped off. So what's needed the lights? We on our way out of here. So like I said before, we in a marvelous place. If you talking about this stuff right here and somebody imposing and showing you that Jesus is an idol, you're in a wonderful place. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand that. Now I ain't gonna hurt a fly. I'm none void. Yeah. So anybody else got any questions? Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm just trying to, you know, I'm not trying to hoodwink nobody or back nobody in no corner or impose or nothing I'm saying on nobody. I'm just trying to shed the light. Like I said, right now, right today, if I had to go back to 25 years, I would put my head on the guillotine, chop my head off because I was ignorant. And when everybody I come in contact with, I refuse to lead them like that. I was ignorant as hell. I didn't know I was no Israelite. I didn't know the history of us as a people, and I didn't know about the New Testament was the different type of book. The Most High showed me that. See, you getting it from me, but the Most High showed me. Well, no, there nobody. I mean, every day, every night, I went solo, disconnecting myself from the world. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's how I got it. You know, and so then when I got it, it's not I got an obligation. You have an obligation. And so I can look back at myself and see how blind I was. You know, you don't want to deal with somebody and lead them in the same predicament. You know they blind. Because if you believe in Jesus, you blind as hell. So yeah. And like I said, you got to call. You want to call on the right person. Especially us, all the hell we've been through. You want to call the right person. So That's what my objective is. I'm gonna show you who the right person is. You can call on him, or like I said, go on a cruise, whatever you want to do. But I'm gonna show you who he is. You know, and the Most High didn't equip me to do that. I'm gonna show you who he is. You do with him what you want to do with him. As simple as that. Okay. Yeah. So this is the season. We in that season. That's why I'm looking at y'all and you looking at me. We in that season. Isaiah 50:44. He waking us up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't like I said, I ain't trying to hurt I ain't gonna hurt a fly. Believe that. I ain't gonna hurt a fly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Isaac's father was Abraham. Yeah, so like I said, I don't know how much you know, but if you go back to Genesis chapter 1, when the Most High was creating things. Let me go there right quick. I'm gonna close out in a minute, but so if you go to Genesis chapter 1 and 26, Genesis 1 and 26, it says, during this chapter, it's the beginning. He's making he's 6 days. He's making the moon and the sun and the earth and all that. So we get to 126, and he's making man. And 126 says, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowls of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his image. In the image God created him, male and female. So when you understand what I'm reading, right here, he created a man and a woman at the same time. So this is not the man that they've been telling us about in the church house. So that was on the 6th day. So then in chapter 2, verse 1, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the 7th day, God rested. On the 7th day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all the works which he had made. Okay, so he finished. So then you come to verse 4, chapter 2. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth, when the earth was created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. He needed another man. This is the man we know right here. This man was formed by himself. Then he made Eve from him, but he made a man over him in Genesis 1:26 with a woman already with him. That's who the Egyptians are. And the Hebrews come from Adam, the man over here that he formed on the 8th day. So it's impossible for Moses to be Isaac's father. Abraham is his father. Moses come from a whole different lineage. Moses come from Ham, from this 6th-day man. And so just to go a little further to show you who the Egyptians are, you go to let me get it right. Back to where I went, Genesis chapter 6. So you had these angels, these watcher angels, they was watching mankind. Well, who they watching? Because Adam and Eve is the Lord of hosts over them. He watching them. So you got these other watcher angels, they watching this 6th-day man. So Genesis chapter 6, what I just read, these angels came down and they started taking wives from this 6th-day man. That's what the Egyptians are. It was giants all over Egypt. They don't want you to know that. So it was giants all over Egypt. And so he says his children Abraham's children wandered down into the land of Egypt, and the Egyptian oppressed them. So who was the Egyptian? Egyptians came from the merger of these fallen angels sleeping with these women. That's just the information that's been skewed, that they don't want to, they didn't took away from us. But like I said, if you get the book of Enoch, it's gonna connect those dots for you. So that's the reason why the Egyptian culture was so advanced, because they was dealing with these fallen angels and with these giants was all over the place. I hope that answers the question. Oh, okay. Well, you know, if you go back to, it's nothing new under the sun. And the reason why I'm saying that is, when you understand it's nothing new under the sun, the person that delivered our forefathers out of Egypt, it wasn't Jesus. So whoever delivered us out of Egypt is going to deliver us out of America. Same person, which is Lord of Hosts, the Redeemer, our Redeemer, our Deliverer. So he left from his habitation. His habitation is not in heaven. His habitation, let me read you where his habitation is. His habitation is, I'm in Isaiah 8 and verse 18. His habitation, Isaiah tells you that, he says, I'm gonna start at verse 16. And many of them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among the disciples, and I will wait upon the Lord that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord have given me are for signs and wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts. That's who I keep proclaiming to you that our Redeemer is. It says, which dwelleth at Mount Zion. So the Lord of hosts don't dwell at Mount Zion. So he came from his habitation. He came from Mount Zion, where he met Moses at, and he went to Egypt and delivered us. The way he bring us back to. He brought us back to the Middle East, back to Mount Zion, where he dwelled at. And so we know the story. When they got to Mount Sinai, it was all kind of people killed because they didn't conform. They still was caught up with the ideologies that was in Egypt and the Egyptian culture. And they ended up getting killed, even to the point where Moses came back the second time with the tablets, and he called all the ones that had the zeal and had the love for the Most High and for the Lord of hosts. He called them up there with him. He said, all of you that with me and want to be with me, come up here. And so these other people didn't understand that there was a proclamation and there was a repercussion to it. So they stayed down there being honorary and stiff-necked. So once the ones that were chosen got up there where Moses was at, the Most High opened the earth up, and they all fell in, and he closed it back up. That's what I mean by that. So it's nothing new in the sun. It's the same thing gonna happen now. We've been over here for 400 years. So when he come to get us to take us back and for us to reclaim our cultures, a lot of people ain't gonna conform. And so he gonna do what he do best. Zap them, you know, and think nothing about it. So that's why I say you have to, one of the characteristics of thinking like a Hebrew is you constantly checking yourself. You learn to check your own self, you know, and you learn to set aside a time alone for yourself. Whether it's in the morning or in the evening, you gotta set some time for yourself to reflect and think about, you know, reflect on your own actions. That's how that works. So, like I said before, when the Most High come back, he got laws, statutes, and judgments, and he's coming back to enact them back on the earth. So, like I said, what you say? What do I mean by that? Well, the earth is dissolving away. The earth is dying. Why is it dying? All the wickedness that's on it. So the earth is, when you understand the earth is a woman, so he coming back to redeem his woman. So how you gonna redeem it? You got to take away all this wickedness that's on earth in order to redeem it, in order to rejuvenate us. Sin is what's weighing the earth down. So if you fall in the line with him and what he doing, then you good. You don't fall in line, then you out. Simple as that. Okay, JD. Yeah, so like I was saying before, I mean, you know, I'm hoping that everybody doing an observation on this, because you see how much more is accomplished when questions are asked, because you never know what direction the question gonna take you in. You know, it's so many rabbit holes, and so in order to jump it off or to trigger it, you have to ask questions. So no question is a dumb question. You got to ask the question. And then from there, you don't know who else that question gonna edify. So that was the whole purpose of the Q&A, setting a day aside for Q&A. Yeah. So that's how that works. And like I said, it's not nothing that I'm doing or nobody else doing. It's the Most High. When the question is asked and the answer is posed to you, then he's gonna verify it. You know, and if it ain't correct and it wasn't delivered in good, it wasn't delivered in a good spirit or with good intentions, it's gonna fall to the ground. You know, so that's how that works. And me of all people understand that. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. So no more questions? Okay. Anybody got a question? Yeah, so if there ain't no more questions, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut this down, and then I got a couple of comments that I want to talk about after we get off the air. So shalom, and another shalom. I'll see everybody in the morning at 9 o'clock.